I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor living in Western North Carolina, and today I want to tell you about the Olympic level mental leap of going from terminal to new normal, and for some ambiance, here's a video of me predator-proofing our new coupe. How appropriate. Background. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019 at 27 weeks pregnant with my now 6-year-old son, who happens also to be on the autism spectrum. Upon diagnosis, I was told that I'd most probably not see said son's 5th birthday, so #praise God they don't call the shots, because today I'm cancer-free for going on 5 years and off all treatment for just over 3. Thank you very much. But before this incredible and amazing and absolutely awesome development, there were 2 long years of failed treatments, gut-wrenching uncertainty, and sickening desperation, which is pretty much the focus of this, whatever exactly this is. Because at some mind-numbingly ambiguous point, I went from having a power of attorney and getting my affairs in order to full-fledged midlife mom mode, and I think I just need to talk about it. Not like mad talk, but like processing out loud talk, because the transition back to normal is not something I imagine would be so unstraightforward. You'd imagine it'd be all sunshine and roses from first clear scan, but I'm unfortunately here to inform you otherwise. For one, I'm so far removed from the normal I was taken out of through this diagnosis that I might as well have been dropped into another dimension, which many might agree this is a solid possibility because all of this was happening circa 2020, which perhaps you remember came with its own, shall we call it, baggage. But in my whirlwind recollection, literally one day I was going to the OB for a typical 28-week checkup, and then bam, you have cancer happen, 3 years of hell ensued, and now things just arbitrarily became normal again. And I genuinely have no idea what that even means because the old normal is nowhere in sight and the new normal feels very weird. To paint a picture, it feels like I was abducted from one life and plopped right into the sequel. Obviously, things are familiar, but not the same, you know? The treatments and experiments and meticulous dieting have stopped, but my old normal is no longer accessible, and it now feels like I'm starting from scratch to forge this new identity and this new life. And then there's the unceremonious last 4 years of being cancer-free, which seems like a solid amount of time to fully accept the undiagnosis and to have gotten it together, but nothing is ever officially official. So the mental progress can seem slow because it is. It's just odd to think about because every other big transition in life has a ceremony or some variety of formal acknowledgement, but the switchover from certain death to probable life, let's just say, leaves a lot to be desired. Because technically the only official acknowledgement of my undiagnosis was a cease payment notice on my disability benefits. So, encouragingly, according to the government, I must be in the clear. But back on topic, because I've never heard anyone talk about this, but I think the most problematic hindrance of transitioning into the ever-elusive new normal are the protective walls you build around life itself throughout the process of living with the terminal diagnosis, because they apparently do not just disappear overnight. From experience, by year 2 of a 3 to 5 year trajectory, safe to say, they're pretty cemented, and trying to tear them down doesn't even begin to start after the first all clear. In all honesty, becoming cancer-free after a stage 4 diagnosis is probably the most anticlimactic health report attainable. And if you know, you know, because it almost means nothing without time. There's practically no finish line, so it feels counterintuitive to burn a bridge you might still need to cross. So to think you can just instantaneously flip the switch that spent 2+ years in the fight or flight position, where you more or less default to thinking of your own self as a black hole, is absurd. But beyond absurd was the torment I felt after a set of bad scans and the way it physically hurt to look at my son on those days. Imagine thinking of yourself as so perishable that you feel selfish for not just rehoming your precious newborn now and sparing them the attachment. It was desperate times, and my point is that after years of living like you're in your last days, the pathways your brain develops to cope are wildly intricate. From day one, I started building walls to limit the experience of life itself, and going on 5 years cancer-free, I feel like I'm just now beginning to walk out of the darkness and uncertainty and into a place of light. But I'm having a hard time in some areas, especially trying to reprogram my mindset to look beyond the temporary. I hope you'll bear with me because this is very hard to explain, though it's interesting. But up until recently, my whole life was wired towards survival. What can I do today to help increase my odds of being alive tomorrow? And then I would simply do those things, staying entirely in the moment. Compounding that is a mental block I constructed early on that equates the future with fear. In the early days, my future was sickness and loss and heartache and very hard things, so I coped by not thinking about the future. But real life requires looking ahead and having a plan, especially as a single parent, and it honestly feels like a firewall has been deployed in my brain. And similarly to the Tower of Babel, the minute I begin to focus my thoughts forward, the whole system malfunctions, and I feel like I'm thinking in a foreign language. Almost like the concept of future itself does not compute anymore. And I know that sounds complicated, but it's actually aggressively oversimplified. So I'm not sure, but I think this is why I like projects so much, because they're so temporal, yet a symbolic gesture of hope and a future. They're little investments of time and resources that are both in the moment, but constructed with a forward trajectory. And up until recently, that felt like a no-go zone. So the fact that I'm able to just do a thing without it being anchored in a potential of loss shows immense improvement. And most importantly, it's a step towards the establishment of the new normal, required to rebuild a sense of identity not rooted in cancer. So I'll take it.